Are you waiting for Diablo 3? I am. I'm part of the gaggling morass of nostalgic morons impatiently waiting for Blizzard to bless our lives with a new era of killing the same boss forever until it drops shiny golden items or scarce runes. I wait in the hope of rekindling the glittering wonderment of our youth spent getting to level 99 in Diablo 2, or to emulate the joy gained from having identified a Sodge. Until Diablo 3 is released, we're left twiddling our digits while keeping an eye out for something to fill the void, and there are certainly plenty of Diablo clones only too happy to try and do that, but they generally fail. Not only because of course nothing can rekindle the glittering wonderment of youth, so everything will inevitably disappoint us nostalgic types forever, but because none of the clones have managed to create as compelling a loot-spawning system as gambling-rific as Diablo 2. Titan Quest suffers from dull, if robust, skill tables and items. Torchlight is all well and good, but it does highlight how excruciatingly dull it is to play these games alone, with no hope of waggling your fat loot in the faces of jealous noobs or questing with your friends. Enter Din's Curse. Woohoo, I thought. Another generic dungeon hack grindfest. The Din, the deity of honor, has cursed me with servitude in order to make amends for my misspent youth. At first glance, you'd be forgiven for thinking that this game was some years old. That's because it's made by a tiny independent developer, Soldak Entertainment, also responsible for Depths of Peril available on Steam. I set off as randomly named Landers, my thief/defender hybrid, expecting a linear hack and slash in good old Diablo fashion, replete with skill trees, inventory management, and stats sheets to increase numbers on until I'm evicted. The grotty graphics and the clunky movement and animation made their impression, but come on, let's not get bogged down in the superficial, eh? I collected a series of floating question marks or quests, and lowered myself into the dungeon built under the town, and clicked things to death. The simple graphics began to seem appropriate given the amount of furore that can be on screen at any given time, with multiple units casting multiple spells and hurling multiple items into the air as they perished. I expected a linear hack and slash, but then something happened. Monsters were fighting each other, and successful monsters gained experience levels, turning into champions and elite variants of their monster type. Text appeared at the foot of the screen, explaining to me that a particularly influential boss demon had taken over a level of the dungeon. Had I paid attention to my quest givers, I would have known that I was sent to kill a big demon called Toxic Faith, in order to foil its plans to invade the town. Only when the invasion had begun did I realize this, signified by the sounds of skirmish coming from above. Without such a thing as a town portal scroll, I hurriedly ran to the entry, slipping on ice and running out of stamina to get back to town and repel the attack. The townsfolk had done this themselves, but were shrunk and petrified with major quest givers killed. New quests to cure the populace and hire new townsfolk became available. Things happen here. This isn't a Diablo clone that stagnates whenever you stand still, or requires the completion of a specific list of quests simply waiting for you to advance. This world doesn't care if you're not ready. The roguelike RPG events infuse the experience with a sense of urgency, enough to keep the game from becoming dull when played alone, at least for a few days. Multiplayer is available over LAN and on the interwebs if you're fortunate enough to know other human beings. There it is, the game is good. Assassins, thieves, armies and beasts sneak or teleport into the town, bosses build machines and conceive plans to hinder you and those you protect, monsters overthrow each other, get offended and raid the town of their own volition, or by the influence of an evil altar or the various types of boss. Catching these events requires that you stay close to a dungeon gateway, but progression requires that you explore, and this simple conflict is effective in maintaining interest. If you succeed or your town is destroyed, you start in another town, with a newly generated layout, new variant of dungeon type, with a different number of levels and a new set of quests, beastry and bosses, including whatever special modifiers the player chooses. While some of these changes are superficial, they do help retain interest enormously. But let's face it, these dungeon hacks are largely enjoyed by obsessive fools like myself, who take satisfaction in watching number dials slowly increase. Din's Curse changes things up, for sure, elevating the game considerably beyond its Diablo clone status, but at its heart it's still as evil a timesuck as ever. Landers is level 50 now, and I have an additional level 35 sorcerer. Having saved my 20th cretinous town built upon a hell pit, I feel like I'm watching a clock tick onwards. That's essentially all that happens in these types of games. Enemies and weaponry eventually repeat themselves, skills aren't varied enough to warrant replays, everything begins to feel the same but with a larger number pinned onto them. I started at level 1 fighting level 1 beasties with level 1 weapons and equipment, and now I'm at level 50 fighting level 50 beasties with level 50 weapons and equipment, and using the same skills as I was 40 levels prior, but with a higher number tagged onto them. The problem here is lack of a goal beyond being arbitrarily told by the Din that I could proceed to the next difficulty level. If the towns were perhaps contextualized on a world map screen, that might help provide some sense of progress, but it needs more. This formulaic gameplay mechanic needs more to drive the experience than attaining new loot. Another drain on motivation is the unique experience system that doesn't really offer increasing rewards. For example, a level 1 player will get 100 experience for killing most level 1 beasts, and a level 50 player will get 100 experience for killing level 50 beasts. That's okay, but watching experience numbers get bigger is part of the appeal of many RPGs, even if it's balanced identically. However, it is unfair to criticize this game in particular for being a number increasing fest. That's fine, that's the principal mechanic of many games out there, but better games weave in some narrative structure to coax the player along. I've often heard this genre be criticised for being a click fest, but what does this mean? I play every PC game with one hand on my mouse and one hand on my keyboard. It would be weird if I wasn't clicking quite a bit, and I like clicking. My mouse is ergonomic and the click button is satisfying. Point is, the game's flaws are more to do with the flaws of the genre rather than the game itself, which, considering it appears to have been created from the ground up by two men and a koala, has been well executed. Smooth, bug-free, a rarity nowadays, great for low-spec systems, a bargain, and a must-have for anyone looking to waste some time before Diablo 3 comes out, with surprising randomly generated content that will keep your ass growing roots into your PC chair for days. I award this game a schloop for its innovative approach to the genre. For its innovative approach to the genre. The genre? The type of game? Okay, my Google image search is rebelling. I think it's time to end the review.